Jackpot.
Jackpot indeed. Hiya there guys. This is going to be a short and sweet video on some of the things that I think should really be in the Devil May Cry 5 Bloody Palace. The aspects that I think are really important that could really improve it on its predecessors. I'm going to leave you a little thing over here to watch, which will be the trailer that I analysed, just that you got something on screen and not just my boring ass face. And let's have some background music too, right about now. Let's get going. A co-op Bloody Palace. First and foremost, this is the most important thing beyond anything else. I think that Bloody Palace should absolutely be co-op. I want to watch John Guri and IX Kevin go crazy, destroy things together, make some mega crazy combos. I want to see the absolute nutty things people can do with this. And I think that it would be really good just for casuals as well, because that would be really cool. Imagine getting a party of 3 and walking into the Bloody Palace to fuck shit up. You can do so much cool stuff with 3 characters, and the power level would be exponential. I think it'd be really awesome. I think the varying difficulties for said co-op Bloody Palace would be important. I think that should probably be a thing anyway, but I think that especially for co-op, make it harder than you would normally do it for one player, just to sort of balance it out. I think is a very good thing. Letting people pick duplicate characters, I think, is really important. I cannot state that enough. The thing is, not everyone is going to want to play different characters. It looks like for the main story, based on what we've seen so far, people will have to play Dante Nero V, and someone's going to be stuck with a character they don't like or something to that effect. So letting people pick duplicate characters, I think, is really important. And then at the end, I think both a separate and a combined score would it'd be really nice. Yes, it can be exploited. The obvious thing is that you walk into a Bloody Palace with 3 people, you have 2 people AFK, and the third person can farm up all the style points. But I think that's alright, because then that's still a challenge for that person, and if people really want to do that, why not? Let them have some fun with it. And then on the leaderboards, you can have separate scores and team scores. So the team score of Jim, Bob, and Barry could be at the top, and then you could say their individual scores beneath, stuff like that. I think that would be really important, and it'd just be a really nice addition. A competitive Bloody Palace. So Bloody Palace so far has been entirely single player. There's not been a single Devil May Cry in which more than one player can play it. And co-op would be a really good start, and that would be most enjoyable. But I really feel competitive Bloody Palace would be a lot of fun as well. The standard rule that I think that should be applied across the board for a competitive Bloody Palace mode is that the better each player's performance is, the harder the Bloody Palace gets for the other players. You see, you can do a lot of simple stuff. So if you're just doing a simple floor 1 to floor 100, or however they're going to do it, then the score of the players can impact the gameplay of the other player. So for example, floor 1, both players get an S rank. On the next floor, the enemies start off devil triggered, or you can't heal for that floor, or you take bonus damage, or you deal less damage, or something to that effect. I think that would be quite interesting. That way it would really promote being stylish and promote being creative, as opposed to just getting through the levels, because the more creative and stylish you are, the harder it is for your opponent. Then you've got 2 modes that I think could really add a lot to it. For example, Survival, which will be the basic sort of 1 player versus infinite hordes. You can't heal, last man standing wins. Pretty straightforward. You could probably apply the ruling of player performance impacting other players' game. I don't know how you would do it, but you'd probably do it something to the effect of, as you gain more and more style points, the harder and tougher the enemies are, the harder they hit, that sort of thing. And then there's the style mode, which is obvious. You just play it through, and the more style points wins. And then if you die, obviously you stop gaining style points, and so the other player can then gain style points and win. I think that that's the most obvious way to do it. I can't think of any other ways. I mean, I can think of other ways, but I don't think they'd be particularly good. And I think that a survival and a style mode on top of the standard mode, where your gameplay would impact the other player's performance and the performance of their demons. I think those are the best ways to do it, and I really cannot think of a better way to implement a competitive Bloody Palace. For general Bloody Palace stuff, there are really important things that I think would make Devil May Cry 5 go from whatever game it's gonna be to the next tier. So if it's gonna be a good game, it'll now be a great game. If it's a great game, it'll now be an amazing game. First and foremost, custom Bloody Palaces. Let us make bloody palaces. If you're familiar with Mario Maker, and I'm very familiar, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, I enjoy watching people play it and get trolled and stuff, you could make your own bloody palaces and upload them for other people to play with the big restriction of you have to beat it yourself. So you are more than welcome to put in 200 of the strongest enemy in the game on the first floor and repeat that 99 more times, but you've got to beat it yourself. I think that would be a great way of doing it, and if Capcom don't want to have their server space taken and they don't want to have to host it, which would make a lot of sense, then let us build our own. Let us have it in a little file, so the game like generates a file for us, and then we can send that file to our friends, and then they can copy and paste it into the appropriate place, and then suddenly they can play that bloody palace. So people can share their bloody palaces without this restriction of having to upload it, which would be nice for Capcom. And then give us a super hard difficulty for bloody palace. Give us something to drool over as we watch Donguri. Give us something to work at, to keep on getting destroyed by, to improve after, to get better. Something that's just really going to make us invest hours and hours into getting better and beating it. Next, give us variety. Devil May Cry 4's Bloody Palace was a very good Bloody Palace, but it got old. No variety. It was predetermined to hell. And Devil May Cry 3's Bloody Palace was absolutely incredible. I could play that all day if my hands didn't get tired. And that's what we need from this bloody palace. So if you're not going to give us custom bloody palaces, give us variety. Let us choose some stuff. Let us have some options. Let us have something different every time. Even if you just completely randomize the spawns, just give us a completely random mode where you spawn anywhere between 10 to 50 enemies on each floor and completely randomize them. That would be awesome. I'd play the shit out of that. And then optional timer. The timer in Devil May Cry 4 was a ball ache. I never beat it as Dante because I wasn't good enough. Now that's not to say that I wasn't good enough to actually kill the enemies, I just couldn't do it quickly enough and I couldn't do it stylishly enough, and it led to this really frustrating circle of I want to get better, but it's a ball ache to do it. The normal missions aren't really efficient for training and practicing, so you've got to do all this running around, and the bloody palace wasn't efficient because I always lost on the 20th floor because I timed out. And that's just not great. Give us an optional timer, and on the leaderboards, if there are going to be leaderboards, then you can have one leaderboard for timer, one without. I think that would be a very good improvement. And speaking of leaderboards, preferably don't let them get hacked this time, Capcom. Anyone who's looked into the Devil May Cry 4 leaderboards knows that they got hacked to fuck, and they were pointless because people just gave themselves absurd scores that I'm pretty sure are actually impossible. And the last thing, if players cannot equip their full arsenal, such as in Devil May Cry 3, give us Divinity Statue checkpoints, because Devil May Cry 3's Bloody Palace is, in my opinion, the best Bloody Palace to date, and I think many people would agree with that, but it had one fatal flaw, and that is you couldn't change your equipment halfway through. Now this wasn't a problem if you played as Virgil, but if you played as Dante, who couldn't equip even half his arsenal, you were stuck with those same weapons for the entire bloody palace. And Dante has this thing of, you know, swapping weapons to deal with certain enemies and bosses. And more to the point, even if you take away the strategic elements, why would you not just put in a divinity statue every 10, 20, 30 floors and let people change up the kit? Let them change their gear, let them adopt a different playstyle for fun, variety, engagement. That would just be a really... that should really be in the game. I think that above all else though, I want a co-op Bloody Palace. You're giving us co-op gameplay, you might as well give us co-op Bloody Palace. I'm really hoping some of this stuff is in here. I don't expect it to be. I think the only thing we're going to get is a standard Bloody Palace with co-op. I don't think anything else is coming. But we can hope. And they really should let us build our own Bloody Palaces. But then they're probably going to let us mod it ourselves anyway, because that's what people did with Devil May Cry 4, right? There was that trainer, and knowing Capcom, they'll leave the work to the fans to mod it. But this is stuff that absolutely should be in the game. I think there's not any reason for it not to be, aside from Capcom not wanting to put in the development costs. But I don't think any of this is particularly hard to implement. Definitely the timer thing. It's not hard to take out and remove a timer. Custom Bloody Palace is probably not that hard. Super hard difficulty, okay, bit difficult to balance, but if you're going to use the player base as a playtest, just have a goal of like 0.5% of the player base able to clear it. And if too many or too few people are achieving that, then just change the difficulty. Leaderboards aren't hard. Check. This isn't stuff that's hard to add, but let's hope it's not a generic as fuck bloody palace. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.
Jackpot.